just like honey, sweet to taste on burning lips. Wanna lie beneath the water, feeling icy fingertips. Soothing nectar to my body, wash the image from my eyes. Dirty streets of hungry people, drink the water, dry your eyes. First one look at the reflections, listen to the music made. Drinking water's ease the mind, thoughts of you begin to fade.
Get yourself together before it's too late.
I'm trying to get myself together before it's too late. Good evening, everybody. This is Divided We Stand. Again. Saturday, the 18th of March. We've made it this far. I guess we should be happy in some way. Or satisfied. At least somewhat. Show number 160 tonight. 3 or 4 years, well, 3 years of this. Yeah. So a big welcome to my family of friends out there. It's great to see all of you. Although I haven't looked yet to see who's out there, but I can be rest assured that the regulars are there. So we'll check the comments out soon enough, because tonight should be interesting in terms of comments. It's the kind of show tonight, the topic that you really do need a lot of comments. You can kind of ventilate and brainstorm your ideas about the topic at hand. A quick note, no real news about Dave. I did tell you last time that there was some slight good news. Dave's reading again, and that's always a good sign. Really, really a good sign. But I have not spoken with Dave in about 2 months, and it was only a couple minutes of that. But I'm cautiously optimistic. Also, a shout out to our good friend and Divided We Stand member. That would be Vegematic Deluxe, who this week surpassed the 1,000 mark. Yowza, yowza. My man, $100,000, or at least $1,000. So that was good to see. I saw your video today. It was great. It was, again, very, very funny. So, congrats. It's not so much the 1,000, it's the years that you put in. And it's just this milestone thing. And not only is it a milestone, folks, it's really tough to get those kind of numbers, especially when you're not a monetized channel. Veg does it on his own. I told you with Head in the Box, we did have Guy McPherson, who really put us at the 1,000 mark. I mean, without that, I would have been somewhere around 200. So it's really hard to get. Unless, of course, you have a good skateboard and a squirrel who will scoot around, or maybe you're muscle bound, or her suit or something more attractive in any kind of way that people just come to watch your video. But it's the channels which completely rely on decency and content that I enjoy the most. So it's tough getting to 1,000. It really, really is. If you do it the right way, meaning the way that you and I kind of think of, not looking to get anything from people. It's really, really tough. So, Veg. Right. All right, let's see who's in the house tonight so far. I'd like to welcome everybody, of course, but it's always nice to have a name. All right, so, Veg, there he is. Veg. Veg is here. Veg Deluxe. What do you know? Trev. Great to see you again. Who else do we have? Kinky. The team is here, isn't it? Bark Eater. And Joey's got to be here somewhere. There's Gary Peacock from good old Bridgeton, my town. And we have Joey. Of course, Joey. And Anthony from Texas. Good to see you, Anthony. Big state there. A lot of MAGAs out there. MAGAs, whatever you want to call them. So I know, Anthony, you have to go through a lot dealing with those kind of people. I mean, I live in a county like that, as you know, but an entire state like that, very intimidating. So good to see you, Anthony. Epi from Scotland. As usual, wonderful to see. And as you may know or may not, if you're new to the channel, Epi's from Scotland. And I believe there's a 5-hour time difference or something like that. So Epi's in the dark of night there, somewhere around 211 or 311, whatever it is there. We appreciate him watching. He must be going like this, holding his eyelids up. Yeah. Epi, thanks. Let's see who else. No, I don't see any more, but that's okay. We have 13 in the house, which means we have some people incognito, and that's fine by me. I think that's important too. Some people just like to relax and not throw their name out there, and that's great too. Let me remind you that Divided We Stand is on 3 platforms right now, and that's the way it's probably going to stay. They are Twitter, and that's it. My Twitter channel, you can look up Brian Weinstein somewhere. I don't know if it's Brian F. Weinstein or Weinstein. I'll check real quick. I'm kind of close here. I don't know what I am. You know what? I don't want to check actually because I may lose something that I want to show you. So anyway, I'm on there. And we're also on YouTube, which most of you are watching right now. YouTube tends to have an advantage for us. It has that main chat there, defined videos. It's less of a concern in terms of copyright issues. I mean, sure, you can get DMCA'd on YouTube at any time, but I can throw in like the music behind me, and I'm kind of okay with that. And we are on Facebook. Now, I do have to make mention again that we, Divided We Stand, have a Facebook group page, which was created about 3 or 4 years ago because we saw the Republican Party as an intransigent party, and that there was no negotiating with this party. And until then, we have to separate ourselves. Thus, Divided We Stand, because usually you think united we stand, but you cannot unite with certain people. And I don't know where this goes, but you can't. And sooner or later, you have to land somewhere. You can't be on the fence. You're either on that side or on this side. There's really no other choice. Although we have the Marianne Williamsons out there, and I hear she's a real wretched woman behind the scenes with her workers and all. So, third-party candidates. I don't know if they're fence sitters or they're opportunists. Who knows? But anyway, we make a stand. Divided We Stand. It's the stand that we take. So if you're unfamiliar with the Facebook page or the YouTube page, we ask that you join. Either subscribe if you enjoy what you're going to be watching tonight, or become a member of our group page. We appreciate it. We don't look for anything. We are just commiserating, sharing information, and at the very least, we're all part of the band on the Titanic going down. However that happens. And that's a lot better than, being alone going down. So we appreciate it. So if you think of it, please subscribe. And maybe we'll hit 150 subscribers or whatever it is. I haven't checked it lately, but we've got a few here or there. Never going to get 1,000 here. On the group page, yes, but not here. This channel is not exciting enough. Okay, I can't do my dance here. Although every once in a while you'll see me do the Tom Jones thing or whatever. I've done that for a while. All right, tonight. The topic is the possible indictment of Donald Trump. Now, Trump, let me go to the web here. Trump is suggesting on Truth Social, which is kind of interesting because there's nothing truthful about Truth Social. Kind of like in Russia, you may remember there was a newspaper called Pravda, and there was a newspaper called The News, And so there was a Russian play on words. There's no truth in the news and no news in the truth. Well, there's no truth in the social. I guess it's just social. Yeah, that kind of thing. But he mentioned today that he believes that he's going to be indicted on Tuesday. I'm going to scroll through this so you can see it yourself. So let's look and see, how he does this. Trump made the allegation in all caps, statement, which he's, known for, on a social media site. He directed his supporters to protest and take our nation back. Okay, now that sounds a lot like January 6th. Take it back. From whom? Well, it's from you and from me. But beyond that, when you say take our nation back, it suggests that somehow something was stolen from you, and that to get it back, you're going to have to do anything. And he puts it in caps because he wants people to know that he's serious. And is done with some, well, I shouldn't say, the lemmings that his supporters are, they will take that seriously, some of them. Okay, there are the Kyle Rittenhouses who, will cross state lines to get where he has to go. Now, we can talk about whether that will actually happen or not, which is another story, because don't forget, this is in New York. And this time, we're in control of the guns, so to speak. Right? But we'll talk about that in a bit. So he goes on saying, the far and away leading Republican candidate, well, you might say he's telling the truth there, and former president of the United States. Well, I'm glad he said former, because it means that he knows he's not president. Will be arrested on Tuesday of next week. Now, the question is, does he have some type of informant? Does he have some information that he knows it's going to be on Tuesday? Who knows if it's actually going to be on Tuesday? Now, as it states here in the article, he gives no evidence, but we know that with Trump, there is no evidence. Okay, it says illegal leaks from a corrupt and highly political Manhattan District Attorney's office. Well, he might have a mole. Who knows that? But I want to go back to my original scene here. I'm going to show you, I don't know if I'm going to show you many videos tonight, but I want to come about it from a different angle. Because I always like to look at the personalities involved. And when you delve into these individuals who are going to be involved in this proceeding, you find out some surprises. And there's nothing new here. I'm not uncovering anything that you couldn't have done yourself. Okay. I'm just a layman here. I'm not an attorney. But I wanted to look at Trump's attorney. And that would be Joe Tacopino, and also the legal advisor of Fox News, Greg Jarrett. Because you're going to see a video or two with these gentlemen, and then we're going to get an idea of their background. Okay. So let me first show you some pictures. Not that that is all that important. Let me show you some pictures here. Okay. I've been putting these things on the desktop of late. For some reason, things haven't really shown up that well. Okay. I'm sorry, folks. Well, you know what? Let's just do this. Let me just go online here, and you can see what I'm doing here. I had pictures set up for you guys. Again, this is for free, so I'm not going to be perfect on this. Okay, so let me switch scenes here. And I can promise you I had the pictures ready, but something's been happening here. All right, so first, let's do Joe Tacopino. Pina. Yeah. I'll blow one of these up and not me. I'm not him. Okay. All right, you got to my left here, in terms of what you see. There's Joe Tacopina. Kind of looks like Steven Seagal, doesn't he? Which is kind of ironic because Steven Seagal's a little bit messed up. A lot messed up, actually. But this guy's an intense guy. I don't know if you've seen him on MSNBC recently. But this is the guy who's defending Trump. But I want you to see a little bit about Joe Tacopino. Okay? Tacopina. My apologies. I'll make sure I get his name right. Okay. So, if you can see this, he's very successful because here, as a prosecutor, he won 39 out of 40 trials. But let's look at some of his clients, okay? And I thought this was kind of interesting. Very, very interesting. He seems more like a mob boss. Not necessarily mobsters, but just high-profile people you might not want to be friendly with, okay? Well, the one that came out more than any, you might be seeing Sean Hannity here, was Joran Vandersloot. Now, this guy was a real winner here. He's the one who, in my opinion, killed Natalie Holloway. Now, he killed somebody else in Peru, and he is in prison for that. But, yeah, this was a real sick pup here. And Tacopina defended him. So already there's strike one with me. Okay. Which means this guy just is looking for the high-profile cases. And he'll defend anybody. Because it's big money. You know, obviously getting high-profile cases. Sorry about drinking here. I'm very thirsty. We've got Michael Jackson here. Kimberly Guilfoyle. She's a real winner, isn't she? Okay. Meek Mill, rapper. Sean Hannity. Daniel Snyder, the owner of the Washington Commanders, at least for now. And he defended Nauman Hussein, who was part of that crash where 17 people, or 20 people died? Yeah, 20 people died. He also owns some Italian football clubs. Yeah. So the guy's successful. He's very, very intelligent. And he has a habit of winning cases, which isn't a great thing if you want Trump indicted. Okay? So there is one person. The other person we're going to look at is Greg Jarrett. Okay? Not to be confused with Keith Jarrett, the musician. So, yeah, you're going to see a mugshot over here to the right. He, I believe, was drunk at a bar one time. And this guy's the legal analyst for Fox. Smart guy, though. Don't get me wrong. I think he graduated magna cum laude, and you know, he's got his law degree and all this and that. And he's defending Trump left and right. But he's got some issues. Yeah. And some anger issues, too, because I think when he's arrested, he went off or whatever. So, not a great guy either. So let's go back to the real scene. I'll set up the background of the show tonight here, and that is, you all know that Trump is just now. You know that Trump is probably going to be indicted. It looks that way. Alvin Bragg is the DA. Looks like he's going to prosecute him. The question is, what is he going to prosecute him for? That's the key. Now, we know that Trump had an affair with Stormy Daniels. We also know that he paid her hush money, which, unfortunately for us, is not illegal. He can do that. But the question is, when that money was appropriated, how was it appropriated? Did that violate any laws? Did he use any illegal campaign funds in the way he did it? So we can't say that the fact that he's trying to get, Stormy Daniels to shut up, that's against the law. No. But what is a problem, again, is using the Trump organization, okay, to, pay her off and shut her up so it won't affect his candidacy in 2016. Because, of course, the affair, I guess the one-nighter, if you want to call it an affair, was, 10 years ago or 7 years ago? I don't know what it was, but it was a long time ago. Okay? Yeah, a long time ago. And that, again, is not the problem. The problem is 2016. Okay? So it looks like if they're going to get him on anything for this, okay, it will probably be a misdemeanor. But a misdemeanor can be strong enough that, you can go to jail for 1 to 3 years, which, right now we'll take anything, right? And we haven't even discussed what will happen if he is indicted. But I personally think it's a good thing that he gets indicted. I mean, just keep indicting him. Do the very thing that, play his game. Constantly taking things into court, just be as litigious as possible and milk the system. Well, I said, well, you do it with him too. Tire him out. Because he's tiring me out. I'm sure he's tiring you out. So, at least from what I see, what's going on here is, it is exactly what it is. He made a payment, probably through campaign funds. His attorney, Michael Cohen, somehow worked this thing out, and it was kind of labeled as kind of like something through the campaign. Now that part's illegal. Okay, if he on his own gave her $130,000 to shut up, 10 years ago, that's fine. But if you do this through a campaign, then that's an illegal use of campaign funds. Because you are trying to shut people. You're setting things up in a way that this was all part of the business. Now, that's how I see it from a very basic standpoint. Okay? Now, as you're going to see, Tecopina he's not going to deny that Trump had the affair. What I think he's saying is that Trump didn't really know what was going on when Michael Cohen, paid her the $130,000. Okay, it was Michael Cohen's doing. Okay, and as you're going to see, I'm going to show you something from Ari Melber. They get into this heated discussion. Melber introduces this idea that, look, he was on Air Force One and he was denying that any of this happened. So already he's lying about it. And the attorney's going to say, well, he has to lie about it because he's sort of not lying. And this is what Tecopina is saying, because there is an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. He cannot mention anything. He's trying to protect himself in the non-disclosure agreement by lying. So he's essentially saying you have to lie to do things right. So it's okay. All right. So I do want to show you Tacopina, but I want to make sure that you understand that I'm not just showing this so you can see the evidence of what I'm talking about. I want you to see the individual and look how he answers the questions, his aggressiveness. This guy is really slick and he's intelligent. Okay, he's got an answer for everything. And come Tuesday, if it is Tuesday, I don't really give a shit what day it's on. This is what's going to be in the courtroom. And, we'll see what happens. All right. So, let's go to the web. Now I'm going to cut the music here because you're going to have to hear Tacopina. All right. Now I froze the screen on this particular moment in the video because I think this is the argument for the prosecution here. Okay. It says, again, you can read for yourself, but I'm going to read it out loud. Prosecutors could argue that the $130,000 payout effectively became an improper donation to Mr. Trump's campaign, under the theory that because the money silenced Ms. Daniels, it benefited his candidacy. So this isn't, a home run win situation for the prosecutors. I mean, they're really going to have to prove this. Now, again, my point is, I think you have to wear him down. I don't care if you lose the case. Wear him down. Make him show up. And again, this time, if these assholes show up, we're in New York, okay? And that makes me think that they won't do anything. You'd have to have a ton of people there to pull a January 6th off. Because if you don't, it'd be like Kyle Rittenhouse showing up and then the other guy's got the guns. He's not going to do it. Doughboy ain't going to do it. All right? So this is a rather long video, and I'm not going to show the entire video. But I want you, again, just to focus in on the demeanor of Tacopina. He's so slick. And don't forget, Vandersloot was found not guilty. It was another case where they nailed him. Okay? Tacopina got him off. And that kid was a murderer. Okay? Again, I'm not privy to seeing it, but it was pretty, it's kind of like Lizzie Borden, The axe is there. There's blood everywhere. And you're the only one that was there. Okay? So, let's check out Joe Tacopina.
His candidacy. So two-part question. Why lie about this and why misidentify the payment if it was legal? And second, your response to that theory of the case.
A donation to his campaign by himself. Okay, that's what it would be. This is very different. Look, John Edwards, remember that case where a third party paid for John Edwards' mistress who was pregnant with his baby and all that stuff. That was a third party. That was a donor. Okay, he was acquitted and the DOJ dropped all charges on the hung counts on that. This is different. This is Donald Trump paying with his own money. And here's the bright line test. And here's where this case falls miserably. And by the way, yes, I'm his lawyer, so you would expect that from me, Ari. But what you have here is legal scholars, former members of the Federal Election Committee have publicly stated there was no crime here, no campaign law violation. Because here's the deal. First of all, there's a crucial distinction between separating campaign funds from personal funds, right? And on personal fund usage, here's the bright line test, and it ends this case. It ends any case regarding Stormy Daniels. If the spending or the fulfillment of a commitment or the expenditure would exist irrespective of the campaign, it's not a campaign law violation. End of story. This would exist irrespective of the campaign.
So guess what he's saying there is that the $130,000 would have happened either way, whether there was a campaign or not. Which I don't know that we can say that for sure. I kind of think that that was very important for him in 2016. It's odd to me that he would wait until 2016 to make a payment on something that happened years before. Catching what I'm saying here? I mean, it sounds correct what he's saying, and it may influence some people. But I think the distance in time makes that very dubious. And again, I'm not an attorney. This guy's the attorney. But again, we're not going to call the facts here again. We just want to see how this guy operates. Notice how he's looking. He's got his facts in front of him. He was reading them. Okay, he was prepared. And the fact that he came on Ari Melber's show, I think he probably knew what questions were coming ahead of time. I think maybe that might have been an agreement between Melber and Tacopina, because the very fact that Trump's lawyer would come on MSNBC is kind of challenging. And even if there wasn't an agreement, obviously the guy's brilliant enough to realize what's going to be coming his way. All right, so let's move it ahead. I don't know exactly where this was, but Tacopina's, well, look at that face there, Jesus. He's trying to grab the paper from Melber. Melber's, an attorney in his own right, and a very good attorney, and he's challenging Tacopina. So let's check this out.
That's what you're going to consider a lie. A lie to me is something material under oath in a proceeding.
Well, I didn't say perjury. I said a lie.
Yeah, but that's not a lie. That's
not a lie?
Here's why it's not a lie.
That's not a lie?
Here's why it's not a lie.
Did you know about this?
Did you put the paper down? Let me answer.
Did you know about this? No, I don't.
No, we don't need that. Here's why it's not a lie.
Yeah.
Because it was a confidential settlement. So if he acknowledged that, he would be violating the confidential settlement. So is it the truth? Of course it's not the truth. Was he supposed to tell the truth? He would be in violation of...
So basically, in other words, a lie is the truth. Now look at his intensity, because this is a show. This is a show here. He's not really being intense to Ari Melber, although Melber's testing him. He's got his ire up, so to speak. But if you look at his eyes, this is for the people perpendicular to him. In this case, for you and for me. And you might say to yourself, well, he's bullshitting and blah, blah, blah. But really, who is this for? Okay. This is obviously for Trump, showing that, I'm your attorney. I'm right behind you. I'm loyal. It's for these Fox idiots who buy all the propaganda. You see, I think we've come to the point to realize that most of the MAGA supporters, they believe in fluff. You just have to have fluff, or the skateboard and the squirrel, right? There's no real essence behind what they're doing. And they believe this shit. Now, I have a video of Greg Jarrett, but I don't really want to show the video today. I just want you to see some of the commentary. Remember, Greg Jarrett is the legal advisor. He's an attorney. He's the guy I said was arrested for DUI at a bar. Very aggressive that night, apparently. So here's Greg Jarrett. Oh, that's a good still of him, huh? He's another winner. He loves Trump, by the way. I mean, he just absolutely loves Trump. Okay, but I want to scroll down. Look, I wouldn't even have to show you this. He's defending Trump. Now, he's defending Trump on the fact for something about, well, this, how can this be a federal crime if it's done? It's charged through the state. How can you do this? You can't do this. He's coming back from another angle. They're all figuring out their own angles. And I'm not going to bore you with it, okay? Just know that these are intelligent people. They're attorneys, but they're kind of like your mob boss attorneys, okay? And they are coming up with a host of reasons why he should not be indicted. Okay, now, who was the... I guess there is a new judge there in Manhattan. I forget the other one was Beryl, whatever. She, I think, is done from her part now. We have a new one. So hopefully this will, their arguments will be ineffective. But let's just look. You'll see here I have a comment because the title of the video is something about, Trump to be indicted on says he'll be indicted on Tuesday, and I said not too soon. Not soon enough, sorry. Of course, everything else is pro-Trump, and that's what I want you to look at. So let's look at some of these Trumpers again, and we're going to get to the meat of my point, and that is the mindset, the mentality of these people, which is not unlike what I see in Russia on some of these channels where these people just hook, line, and sinker go for Trump. So it says here, may God bring law and order to our nation and the world. Okay, so first of all, they're always going to bring God into it. Okay, and of course, it's the God that, that they believe in, God through their eyes. So you have a lot of problems right off the top. And then law and order to our nation. Well, it's funny because that was the last thing you had from Trump, was law and order. It was lawlessness and disorder. And they were okay with that, right? I mean, this Jose Flores here, he would have been okay with January 6th. Okay. And then here's another woman, here's another person who says, every time I think I've heard the craziest thing ever, I hear something even crazier. Well, no, it's not crazier. It's actually sanity. You are the one who's insane. Our legal system has fallen as well as our Constitution. Okay. They believe everything is for shit. Okay. Because of the woke. And then we have a whataboutism here. Anything to get the heat off Joey, and Hunter. Pray for our President Trump, as if he's still president. Pray for our President Trump and the other actors for truth to prevail. And of course, he can't spell it right. He gave so much to our country. Support, support, support. Now here, this is the whataboutism, but there's a bit that's tainted with racism, in my opinion. After I get this drink, this guy's going to get arrested, but the dudes who stole a car in Harlem, he's got to bring up Harlem for some reason, like Harlem. Now, why are you bringing up Harlem? Which is actually a very nice area right now. This guy's going to get arrested. But the dudes who stole the car in Harlem this morning are going to be getting community service. So he's saying basically a lot of things there. He's a veiled racism. He's saying that everybody else gets off easily. And that the decent one gets arrested. Okay. This is what we're up against. There's no way back from that. There's no, from what it was, the horror from Apocalypse Now. There's no diamond that's going to hit this Mike guy in the head and finally realize that 2 + 2 = 4. It's not going to happen. And nor, is it going to happen for us that they're going to change. We have to accept that this is what is. The iceberg is going to melt. Trump is so humble and kind. Well, that's the last thing he is. He is not humble, and he's not kind. Our nation is headed quickly to a very dangerous place. See, and that's kind of veiled. Dangerous, like you're the dangerous one. That's where you go on January 6th, see? Trump needs to sue the daylights out of that lawyer. Take his license away. Trump sues everybody. You don't have to ask him or say that he needs to sue. He sues everybody, and he plays the system. Take Trump's lawyer's license away. How about that? Somebody says, this is beyond ridiculous, unbelievable. What's ridiculous about it? I mean, you went all the way with Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky for something that was a lot less than this. It wasn't ridiculous to you then, was it, Therese Masi? It wasn't unbelievable then, but it's unbelievable now. Lori P. Lord, protect us and deliver us from evil in Jesus' mighty name. Amen. Hitchens warned us, folks. They are the evil. We're the ones that need to be protected. And in this case, we kind of are, because Biden's president and we have a Democratic governor in New York. And if you come there trying to start some shit, fuck around and find out. I'd like to get your ideas about that. I personally don't think many of them are going to show up, because if they do, they're showing up to lose. You're going to pick on the wrong people to pull that kind of crap. I think it's more going to be something like a Fox thing. People on, TV showing their faces and things like that. Be more like that. Before we go to the commentary, I want to show you a few others. Trump certainly has a team of supporters. Now, Mike Pence, typical Mike Pence, he's always half a hero. Let me see if I can get this right. Mike Pence is always half a hero. He does one good thing on January 6th, and then he turns it around and does a bad thing. Okay, so he tries to play it both ways. He's a fence sitter. So he's saying things such as, this is all politically motivated. Well, the only thing that's politically motivated is that, it's really not politically motivated. Yeah, they happen to be Democrats in many cases who want to see him indicted. I'm a Democrat and I want to see him indicted. But it's not politically motivated, It's ethically motivated. I can't deal with this individual. So Pence says, we cannot have violence. Violence cannot be tolerated. I think he's trying to kind of back up, why he did what he did on January 6th, or didn't do what he did, so to speak. So he's playing that game again. Then we have Kevin McCarthy saying this is outrageous, a radical DA. So now they're making him a radical, okay? And that's how they personalize this kind of shit. They attack the individual. It's horrific. I want to show you something from this pig. Okay. I don't even have to tell you. Biden's DOJ is coordinating with the Democratic Manhattan DA. No, it's separate. Okay. The top Republican presidential candidate of 2024 and charged him with a fake and outdated misdemeanor charge. Now, that was given for the state of New York to deal with. Okay. It's all for politics. No. Again, it's not politics. It's right and it's wrong. This is what they do in communist countries to destroy their political opponents. They kill a lot of times in other countries. And if you had your way, it would happen too. You almost got your way. Republicans in Congress must subpoena these communists and end this. So now we're communists. Okay. It's gotten so fundamentally corrosive that all you have to do is just make an accusation, and these people are all behind it. This is how bad it is. So if you think that this is going to be solved, it's not. Just like climate change, it's not going to be solved. I mean, yes, we've had some good things happen, compared to what happened with Trump, but the Republicans are going to block it each way, and people like Manchin and Sinema are going to block things. So we can't fool ourselves. It's kind of like admitting, we're mortal and we're going to die one day. You have to accept it. We have the power to do it. Well, you have the power to do some nasty things, and you are doing it. We also have the power to defund the salaries of the department. So that's what they want to do now. They're trying every little trick, and it's very insidious. I mean, they're actually, thinking outside the box. We'll just cut their salaries so they can't fund these investigations. Enough of this. The American people, no, you mean your people, deserve a government that actually works for them, not a bunch of self-centered communists who bail out their donors, protect their elites, and wield their political their power to punish their political enemies. Communists. So this is where we are, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I don't know whether we're going to see the indictment again this week or not. I hope it is on Tuesday. Monday, Tuesday, I don't care. You could do it this weekend if you really wanted to, right? But it's at the point now where I think, just like they think outside the box, let's just cut the salaries and so forth, or just make those crazy attacks and call them communists. I say, keep indicting him. Let the process keep going. Make him sick. Because I'm sick of it myself. And I don't know else how to play this. And if they show up in New York and they do try to pull January 6th, do what you have to do. This time, unlike what happened in Ohio with Governor Rhodes, this time I'm behind the governor. You send out the National Guard, and if Kyle's there, you know what you have to do. I'm not inciting violence, but if they bring it, order must be held. All right, let's go to the commentary, because I do want to get your comments, because this is an interactive group. All right, so let me go to the comments now. I know I'm behind, probably, but you guys have probably been commenting quite a bit. So, yeah. I'm going to work backwards again from the newest back. Okay? We can handle this. All right. I better put my glasses on, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, they're on my forehead. Ain't that something? All right, let's go to Kinky. Again, most recent to the past. That's okay. We'll kind of travel through time together, won't we? Twitter has only fucked those who follow it, which isn't me. Well, ever since Elon Musk has been on, it's just, very few people see my Twitter. I have less people watching or looking at my Twitter account than the actual Divided We Stand. Hey, Sandy. Twitter has really wrecked this country also. All this shit all the time is so fucked up. I'm just getting angry. Trump is doing way worse. That's right. They got Clinton for a blowjob. And then that is interesting, I mean, the only thing about that bothers me. I mean, I know what Ken Starr was doing and what the Republicans were doing. I was just disappointed in Clinton and that he was doing really, really well with the economy. And he was popular for the most part. If he hadn't done that, if he had any kind of sense, some kind of professionalism. You don't bring your shit to work. It's such a simple idea. You don't bring your shit to work. He could have had it all. He could have retired with character. I mean, I'm sure now he looks back and he says, that was bad. But he let, those base urges, instincts, yeah, sure. But, that frontal lobe's got to work sometimes and realize, you're the president of the United States. So I get it. It was a ridiculous investigation. Many of the presidents did shit like that. It was just hypocrisy. Henry Hyde was doing all that kind of shit, and he's the one bringing it up, or one of the ones bringing it up. But again, I'm just saying, aside from that, I just thought, Clinton blew it, and that angered the hell out of me. It's kind of like with Obama when he was just too nice to the Republicans, and he should have nominated Merrick Garland anyway. These idiots wouldn't know a communist if one bit them on the ass. They really wouldn't. They really, really wouldn't, Veg. And I think that's the biggest problem. I mean, I said this last week. If you looked at someone like Lauren Boebert, a lot of us say, I couldn't run for this or I couldn't run for that. And I say that all the time. And I've had some respect for, the politicians in the past. I mean, they were intelligent. Most of them, you had to be pretty intelligent. You had to know something about American history. But there's nothing going on with Lauren Boebert. This is a complete change. I mean, they were assholes back then, but at least the assholes knew what they were talking about in a certain way. But these people, they don't. They certainly don't know what a communist is. They don't even know what an American is. So, it's very depressing. And I say Trump basically let the dogs in, He opened the door and he let some bad dogs in. God has nothing to do with the law and order. These are entirely human constructs. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Because, it's so simple. In our universe, you just have to know. It's it's kind of funny too. Like, because my father, he believed in God, and he used to say, without God, we wouldn't have had laws. The biblical laws helped us, and in a certain sense, biblical laws led to laws. But to me, it's pretty easy to figure out that, you don't push an old woman down the stairs. I mean, if you're an intelligent person and you know that if something hurts you, you wouldn't want to do it to the next person. There's it wouldn't enter my mind to do some harm to somebody on purpose. If I saw a little puppy, I wouldn't hurt it, I'd help it. So it's pretty simple if you're an intelligent human being to know the difference between what's the smart thing to do and what's the dumb thing to do. And the dumb thing to do is the more dangerous thing. And this is why, you see, these horrific news reports from local news of these killings or the stabbings or what happens. And they interview somebody and they say, oh, it was because of such a stupid thing too. Well, of course it was a stupid thing. Because when you have ignorance, people do stupid things. They get in the car drunk. They don't make sure the thing's built correctly. They throw things out the window. They drive on bald tires. So it's a matter of not so much right and wrong, but logical and illogical, in my opinion. But the logical one is the right way to go. It's justifiable. It's the right thing to do. If there's any one law that we could have, like if there was only one, right? Just one. I would say do no harm. Because that's the whole point in life. You don't want to be harmed, and if you don't want to be harmed, you don't want the next person to be harmed. So do no harm. It's the Hippocratic Oath. So when these people start talking about, nation of laws and, we're not a it comes down to logical behavior and illogical behavior. You know, if you're going to try to cheat somebody and lie about hush money, Trump knows. He knows. But remember what he said? He said, I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and I'd get away with it. Because he said I could get away with it because he knows that it's wrong. They're just mad because there's nothing on Hunter's laptop. And I agree with you. And I said that to one of my Trumper cousins, and he basically hung up on me. I have a couple Trumper cousins. And I keep bringing up Hunter's Biden's laptop as if I gave a shit about it, you know? Even if there was something on it, I don't care about Hunter Biden. I care what Joe Biden does, but not Hunter. But they keep talking about this. Well, where is the evidence? If there is, do what you have to do. I don't give a shit. We're talking about population growth here. Yeah, I guess you've probably read in the papers or online where Japan's population has really decreased. China, and China, I know I'm going off topic for a second, but China, instituted that policy of, a one-child policy. So unfortunately for them, they were, aborting female babies, so to speak, or whatever you want to call them, zygotes, embryos. Because we can start getting the abortion thing. So you're having a lot of males, and that's never a good thing. A lot of bad things happen when you have a male-dominated society in terms of numbers, and their population is decreasing. Never going to be able to clean up. Are we talking about, I know I'm going in reverse order. I'm going to guess we're talking about Ohio. We're going to try to clean it up, but they're not, I guess a lot of you are talking about, spring bursting out here 3 weeks early. That's what happens these days. I live in Bridgeton, New Jersey, but essentially we're moving south 10 or 20 miles a year, maybe more than that. I don't know. This could be like North Carolina now from the 60s. The more you fuck around, the more you find out. That's right. Got to fuck around a little to find anything out. I don't know if anything's really going to happen. I don't think all these people want to go to jail, and they will. Ronnie and I have been so frustrated with just, you watch these shows, and they're good shows. Generally, they explain the situation quite well. But it never happens. He's never indicted, and nobody gets in trouble. And even people like, Roger Stone, pardon, and then Bannon, who's convicted. And the judge says, well, we'll let him appeal. And in the appeal, he can just go. And Bannon's walking around, and he was convicted, and he should be in prison. So you just don't trust anything anymore. You can't get you can get a conviction, but you can't get somebody to sit. And that really pisses me off. The fact that Paul Manafort is free, the fact that Roger Stone is free, the fact that Trump, all of them, it makes you want to vomit. And for these people, these MAGAs out there who talk about law and order, they're ones who are violating it. You want Roger Stone free. He's okay with you, right? And here we are. It's not right or wrong. It's logical, illogical. And the people who are illogical, there's so much mud in their brains right now. This has been generated through years and years of constant bullshit of 2 + 2 = 12. And they're going to go for people like Roger Stone and say, he's good. The trip to a gun show in Maryland. Should I read something into that with 45 being indicted this week? I don't know. Gary, God, Law and Order. A close family member and 2 friends, one a classmate of Dave, and I took a road trip today. Relative, a mellow guy, owns no guns. The others are hunters, all devout Christians. Yeah. But remember, in the Abrahamic religions, the human beings have man, or they say man, has dominion over the earth. And there you go. The Christian philosopher is Lynn White Jr. He's the one that brought this up. And this is the problem. By the way, I eat Impossible Burgers and Impossible Chicken. I'm really for it. So 2 days ago, I bought Impossible Chicken Tenders. Last night, we had Impossible Chicken Tenders. This morning, I get an email from the local shop right here. It's the grocery store where I go, saying they're having an immediate callback of the chicken tenders because there's wood chips in it. Do not eat it. We haven't seen anything happen yet, but they have found wood chips and it could cause problems. So I already ate like most of them. We ate most of them, and Ronnie went back to the store, and then they returned. They gave a refund, but they kept asking questions. When did you buy this? Isn't this a bit early? Because we just sent out the email. No, we bought it 2 days ago. But what was nice was because of our loyalty card, they know what you're buying, and they can trace that lot number, and they can find the people. If you're using a loyalty card, if you're not using a loyalty card. Not that I suggest getting a loyalty card, but there's no way they can get back to you. I want to know. And in fact, Impossible Burger called us and left a message on our phone today. I guess because of the computers in the inventory, they can through these cards they can get back to you, and they warned us. So it wasn't really ShopRite's fault. They didn't put the wood in there. But you got to get your lots together. And winter is shorter every year. And I would even go as far as saying, Kinky, in this area, we've had no winter. I think we had maybe 2 cold days. The rest have been in the high 40s, 50s. It's been basically November as I knew November. I don't know about you out there, but my experience of November in the 60s and the 70s, which we're changing too, it's been like that since maybe November. And we just haven't had the cold weather. It's if you intend to go skating on the pond, you better go up past the Hudson Bay because you're falling through. Right, Veg, as we know, that polar vortex can kind of change and get these individual days, but in general, you're going to have the warm weather in London. You're going to become a lot like London as we know it in England. Even London, Ontario, which really isn't all that far north, really. I think are you south of Detroit? I don't know. But even if you aren't, I imagine London, Ontario is going to seem like, I don't know, Indiana, if not already. And then eventually you'll have it too, where those snowy days are going to be gone. And as Canadians always say, the great white north. You only be north geographically. Pretty soon we're all going to be south. Running out of water. I remember 5 years ago I was planting live plants. Well, Trev, well, just think, Trev, we're going to have an El Nino year, so we are going to be thinking of winter with fond memories. Yeah, well, it's funny, Sandy, even with La Nina, I mean, I think this was the last year of La Nina. Even the La Nina years, it's just been plain out warm. Especially on the East Coast, and the temperature, especially because of the ocean. This is why in South Jersey, we always had these rain-snow events, or I should say snow-rain events. You get to the eastern part of Pennsylvania, they were all like snowed in, in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and 90s, but not even the 90s, I guess. But we would get the snow starting, and then it would turn to rain, because we were just too close to the ocean, when these storms whipped up. Now, the ocean's probably 5 degrees warmer than usual. Maybe more. I haven't checked in old school of late, but you don't even have to. Russia paying trolls in Mexico to be on the U.S. social media posting pro-Trump. Putin propaganda. Yeah, remember, I believe it was a Mexican spy for the Soviet Union who put an ice pick in Trotsky's ear. Trotsky lived for about a day with that in his ear. Ugh, disgusting. Yeah, Russia's involved in all kind of nasty shit. I'm getting sick of them too. I mean, really sick. Putin can't get a stick up his ass soon enough. You're right, Trev. Or a million years away. Maybe more than that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's ever going to come back. And eventually, of course, the sun will be too warm anyway. In about a billion years. Yeah. You better say goodbye to the Winter Olympics, too. Unless you just want to have hockey and ice skating. What percentage is Russian propaganda or foreign influence? You would be surprised how much. I wouldn't be surprised. Can't get anything coming out of Russia these days. But it's been going on for 800 years, so what's the difference? The last humans have always allowed themselves to be brainwashed and manipulated, but now it just seems worse than before. It does seem worse than before, doesn't it? Maybe we do need AI and let the robots take over. Yeah. Right, we are fucked, but I think, Emendem kind of had it right. I mean, it's not like we just fucked it up. It was going to be this way. There was no getting out of it. Now, I tend to agree with him now, but I'm just kind of the person who tries to fight through this thing and see if there's a way to win. And even in Mendham, he's always saying you got to clean the spilt milk, and you still have to try to make it right. But as we've spoken before on these shows, the human instincts that are there just cause too many problems. The territorial imperative we were talking about, Dawkins, the selfish gene. if you're waiting for somebody out of the skies to say it's not going to happen, it has to come from the ground up. And people like us are the ground up. We're trying. And Sandy, look, she's trying with Environmental Coffee House. You first have to, inform people, get their attention. There's an old sales technique from the 1960s. It's called the AIDA technique, but it's very simple. You have to get the customer's attention. You have to get them interested. And then you have to have them desire something. You have to show them the benefits and the desire of a product. If you're a legitimate salesperson who actually cares about your customer, and then you get action. I think in that acronym, as you apply it toward anything important, whether it's climate change or political change, you first have to get people's attention. I'm not very good at that because, I'm a 63-year-old man, soon to be 63-year-old man. I've got no jokes for you. I don't have any fancy this or that. So I can't get the attention of many people. And Sandy, I know you're trying. And you do a great job. But we need to be able to get a hold of huge numbers of people, millions and millions of people. And you have to get them interested, and you have to get them to desire the change that they think they need. And then they'll take action. And until you get that, and I think that's the thing with the MAGA crowd. They kind of followed that, even though that they certainly weren't even thinking that way. But that's essentially what they're doing. They just get stupid people's attention. Or actually, not stupid. People who are, I shouldn't say stupid, because not all of them are stupid. People who can be easily manipulated. And you drive them toward action. You get their attention, you get their interest, their desires. How's this policy going to benefit you? And then take some action. And then one day you get a bunch of people, thousands of people, storm the Capitol. It's so depressing to hear so much weaponized stupidity. I've never read these types of threads. And we're obviously talking about the threads that I was showing from the YouTube video. I do read them, just as like I was speaking with this Russian woman last week. I do speak with a Russian person on Sundays, as I will tomorrow. One of her friends is pro-Putin. So I thought it was important to have the conversation. And it's not unlike looking at these threads. Because I have to understand. I know it's stupid, you know it's stupid. But you like to see the thread of evidence, like when somebody says, Lord Jesus needs to come help Trump. And then you find out more about these people. First of all, you find out what gender they are, because you wonder why, for example, with abortion, you think why any females would support, what's going on with Roe versus Wade. But I think it's still important to kind of understand it more deeply, I guess, for myself. I kind of need that. I don't like reading it, Veg. I don't like it at all. And it is very depressing, like you said. And it shows, because you're essentially explaining that in your videos. You're basically saying, this is very depressing. The whole story is depressing. It's like reading a novel that is depressing, and it ends in a sad way. And when you finish the book, you realize the novel was about yourself. This is why I say I personally, I can't say I'm an unhappy person. I think if you do what you find interesting, you'll be happy. But like anything else, I really do think comfort's the key. If there's any one thing that I would live for or want for other people, is comfort. Comfort when I'm dying, comfort when I'm living, comfort when I'm sleeping, comfort when I'm walking down the street. I don't think in terms of, well, how can I get a birthday cake? Happiness is such a fleeting thing, you know what I mean? Comfort is something you want every second of your life. I don't want a heart attack, right? The thought of the different ways to die, it just makes you live in complete fear. You want to be comfortable, and you don't want to witness your own death. You want to be, right? Everybody wants to fall asleep and go. If you have to go, do it that way. Yeah. Let's go to some newer comments again, and then I think I'm going to wrap it up. Oh. Malleable minds, gullible morons. Yeah, I guess that's what it is. Because some of them, some are intelligent. Like, you look at these attorneys, and you look at Senator Kennedy. I was, speaking about him a few weeks ago. He's not a dumb man. He's just selfish. And then there are people who are malleable. I mean, they're able to get their bachelor's degree, but they're malleable because maybe, when they were 5 and 6, when they were uninformed, their parents were telling them that, these people don't do this and these people don't do that, and all they want to do is this and that, and then it sinks in and you believe that shit. All you do is see one person do something, you're going to blame everybody for it, and it's just a terrible, terrible thing. And in that sense, they're malleable. There's a lot of, we need more psychologists to figure that out, because there's a lot going on, at the micro level with psychology, and at the macro level with sociology. Then you start seeing how these lunatics behave in groups. Now you're getting to sociology. January 6th. Anthony. MAGA church is not my church in any way. There are too many MAGA maniacs who have cheated their own church, aka propaganda. It's funny, Anthony. I had a colleague, and he left to become a pastor at a church. He was a really nice guy. I really liked him. I'm sad to see him leave. Now, he was legit, like, he knows that I was an atheist. He knew it. And we had some interesting discussions. But I believe in him. I mean, he really believes in Christianity, and he really wanted to do good for people, And I would never put him down for that, even though I'm not religious. I mean, he was a decent guy, and those kind of people I can deal with. I still think that there's some issues, but in general, those people are good people. There are a lot of good Christians out there, like a lot of good Jews, and but the church has been bastardized, especially through these evangelical churches. It's and Orthodox Jews, it's crazy. So, yeah, Karen's here. Karen, I hope you're doing well. I have a little bit of information today about it. I should say not much. It wasn't anything really new. As I said last week, I guess you weren't here last week. Dave had read 3 books last week, and now he's reading again. But that doesn't mean he's able to do the show or anything like that. No. But it's something he enjoys doing, and he's able to do that now. He couldn't read for a while. Physically it was difficult for him. He knows how to read, but his problems were so great. And this is what, March, 2 months, and we're coming up for a year here. But I am cautiously optimistic about Dave. He is doing better in a certain sense, as far as I know. I don't know too much, you know what I mean? I don't want to hector them for information, but I do care. Gary's very close friends with him. Gary understands that too. sometimes you have to just step back. I mean, it's one thing Dave, he won't be able to deal with if everybody tries to get a hold of him, because a lot of people know him. And when you're going through tough times, sometimes the last thing you want to do is have people get a hold of you. You need your space. So that's really where it is right now. But yeah, I mean, it would be so nice if, just 1 year from the day he left, that he'd be back. That'd be such a great show. A really great show. Yeah, and I appreciate that. And again, I don't see this as, I'm not here to do anything but facilitate a conversation, and I really mean that. I don't want to put myself, I just happen to be on the screen here, but I know in terms of what I want out of this is legit. I mean, I want people who, whether we lose or we win, we're going down here together, and even if it means we're far away and distant family or friends, it's important because it helps you go on, it's always nice to know somebody cares and somebody thinks like you, like, oh shit, I know what that feels like, and that's not good. That's why I hate people who, I just absolutely abhor when somebody says something like, the others die, but I lived and God blessed me, but what about them? You can't forget about them. And that's why this idea of, even if it's a coterie of friends, it's good, because you don't need to have 8,000 people to make your life work. You just have to have people you can trust. You got to trust your spouse. You got to trust your friends. And what else could you really ask for? Because, I mean, if we really, it's like Bukowski kind of said, it's like, if we really thought about it, if we really thought about the position that we're in, forget about the politics and climate change, we're all going to face the end of the universe to us, because our universe will end when we're done. It's critical, because it's just an abrupt end to all that we believed in and all that we are. So it's something that we have to, whatever we have of ourselves, we need to share it with each other, because we were put in, not like somebody's putting us, but the system itself put us in such a situation that there was no way out. And you might luck out and have your good days, but most people don't really have that. And even if you do, at some point in time, you're going to face it. We're all going to face it, some worse than others. But there's no victory by saying that you've done a great job, because you can't base the universe on how well you're doing. This system has created just an awful, awful, awful experience for most things. Awful. For every flower you see, there's things going on behind the scenes. So what I'm saying is, we for want of better expression, we need to be gentle with ourselves in a certain sense, because we're in dire straits no matter what. It wasn't just the climate change. It wasn't just Trump. The ignorant put us in a dangerous position. Even ourselves, we do stupid things, right? We all do stupid things. You learn that when you touch the hot pot. Why did I do such a stupid thing? Yeah, this is important, and this is why I watch, like, say, Veg's channel and Sandy's. I know what these people are trying to do. Their heart is there, and I don't know that they're exactly trying to change anybody, but they're trying to to share that experience, like, God damn it, we really screwed this thing up, I don't like to just pound on the same thing, but it was going to happen anyway, folks. I think the only thing that's going to really, as individuals, save us is philosophy. I mean, I think you almost have to be like, was it Socrates, and you have to live by code. You have to realize what's presented in your lives, and I'm talking to myself too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not Socrates here. I'm just telling you this as a friend, sharing my experiences. I think philosophy is the only route out of this. At least, for some people, religion. But for me, I think philosophy's going to help you get to that last day, and say, okay, I'll accept this thing, for a lot of different reasons. But it's going to come through philosophy, that you understand yourself, that I understand myself, that I became, a better person. And it was, I posted something today on Facebook, with Hemingway. Hemingway said something to the effect, there's nothing noble about feeling you've gotten ahead of somebody else. The only thing that's noble is that you've improved as a person. And I think that says it all. Don't beat your chest. Just be a better you. I want to be a better me. And I think I am. I think I'm a better me. I mean, there was an innocence that I had when I was 4 or 3. Like, you see the video when I show my intro, you see me, I had my bathing suit, and I was a little kid and doing all crazy kind of shit. I mean, that was innocent good. So I was a pretty good person as a kid, but you don't know any better. But as an individual, as you grow up, you do get involved in a world that's very selfish, and it can take you that way. But I think it's important to improve. I don't want to get caught up in anything else but improving as an individual and being around people with whom I care. Saturday nights, it's great to be with you all. You're really nice people, and I mean it. I really respect. I mean, the fact that somebody would listen to me at all, I don't know why I listen to myself half the time. Yeah. All right, let's go to the end here, the comments. Then I'm gonna wrap it up. Philosophy of the age. Yeah, I mean, yeah, philosophy. Yeah, I think without philosophy, I don't think I'd get through any of this shit. At some level, I've always thought about death. I remember when I was a little kid, my mother would. I think she talked about Adam and Eve or something like that, and I said, they screwed it up for me. You mean I'm gonna die? I can't live forever. Why can't we just make the exceptions? And it just hit me. Like I said, that kid that you see, that me, in one of the opening intros, it was about that time that I would talk to my mother about such things, and I thought it was so scary. Like, not only scary, but like I was robbed of something. We have to die. I'm involved in the game here. Now you're telling me I can't stay in the game. I'm invited to the party, but now I gotta leave. And then you learn more and more and more. So the world that operates between these years is so much different now than before. In fact, I had asked you folks a question maybe 3 or 4 months ago about what you thought you were going to be. How close is it to what it was then, right? Like you thought your life was going to be this way when you were 6, and then all of a sudden we're all in our 40s, 50s, and 60s now, and it's completely different. But if you take the extension of that and you say, the way that you see the world and the universe. And this is, again, just a philosophical question. How much different is it now than when you were 6, 10, 15 years of age? I mean, the world is just so much different. It's almost as if it's a trip, a trip where you're a scary thing in a way. When you lose that sense of ego, you're not sure if you're yourself. You're hallucinating in a certain way where, is this a real world type of thing? It seems in reality, this thing, as a person who's in his 60s, is so much different to me. I don't see this as a continuation. I mean, it is a continuation. A lot of people don't see like the big jumps, but I see it, and it's the world as I approach it. It's almost as if I'm thrown into these blocks of different experiences. It's almost as if it's a different dimension, but it's not. But it might as well be. And now I see my father, someone who was born in 1921, who saw everything up to the 2010s. You see horse and buggies still in the 20s, and in 2014, that there are rockets and all kinds of crazy shit. And he said, this world's completely different because of the technology, but it's also different philosophically for me, and that's the biggest thing. The world my life doesn't resemble anything from the past, and that's why there is a certain nostalgia with myself looking in the past. There's no way that 6-year-old me could have had a concept of what it was going to be like in 2023. You could only look at something from Disney and say you hope that you're going to be in some world like that. But I hope I'm not boring you with this. But it's important to me. It really is. It's just a strange life. And then, poof. I'll never really understand it beyond what I can through philosophy, and it's only religion won't do, and it will put me in retrograde. It can only be done through philosophy. Yeah. So let's see if there's any comment. I don't know. I get your point. I love history. The future would become ultra fantastic or become a hellscape. We have about 6 years to decide, and Elon Musk is doing things that will change the course forever. I don't trust him. I was probably more afraid of birth than I am of death. And there is a phobia. Not many people have that, Trev, and you may be aware of it, so you'll forgive me if I bring it up. It's rare, but there is a phobia of people who are afraid of thinking about before they were born. Because it's that same state. Yeah. I'm starting to lose these comments are starting to come in. Death is like a metamorphosis, but still scares the shit out of me. Well, here's the interesting thing too, Veg. If it plays out the way at least the evidence shows me, I don't know for a fact, but it'll be the same as before we're born, and we'll know that we're dying in some cases, but we'll never experience death. And that's the weird thing, because you can't say, oh, I'm dead now. No, it's like, I'm dying, I'm still living, but the very thing we're afraid of, our brains will never be able to comprehend, but be able to experience. At that point, we will know that we're going out, but we're still thinking, right? We're thinking, oh, here I go. My heart's exploding, and here I'm going. In fact, it was Max Baer, not the actor, but his father. when he was dying, he said, "Uh-oh, here I go," or "There I go." He knew he was going, you know. And thank you. See, and again, this is why I like speaking about things like this with you folks, with a small group of people, because it affirms that I'm not alone. You know, it was that movie. I keep going back to that movie. The guy who did The Exorcist, The Ninth Configuration. And the whole story was about this one astronaut who goes nuts because he's afraid of going out in space and being alone out there when he dies. He didn't want to be far away, and I get it. And it just tore him apart. And I could imagine that. You know, it's frightening. You know, that's why I feel for anybody who, all of us, we will have to experience this. Some sooner, some later, but it's going to happen. You know it, I know it, and but just it's not so much that it's going to happen. If you understand what I'm saying, it's that last few minutes or seconds. You see what I'm saying? If you can role play that last 10 seconds of your life, and you think about how would you treat those last 10 seconds as you're thinking, like, oh my God, you feel it's coming, like, here we go, but it's not a good thing, you know. It's not like you're going, you know, through an orgasm or something like that. You're actually, like, the bad things you're going through. You think, oh my God, here it is, and then, yeah, it's. I just don't want to think of Trump when I go out. I don't want to think of Trump. All he worries about is just this stupid shit, because he is stupid. Sadly, you are no longer with him. Yeah, well, I'm glad that I'm not the only one who thinks that way. Okay, I don't just simply think about the fact that I will die. I think about as I go out. I think that's what I think about more than anything about death. Those last 10 seconds, you know, or the last 5 seconds. It's just that part. When you're approaching, like, now some might look at it as a positive, like, okay, well, if there is something, here's the exciting metamorphosis to occur. But those last 5 seconds, I think the only way to solve it is philosophically, and to be gentle with yourself. Well, that's the best way to go if it's 3 seconds. I just wish it were immediate. I didn't even know. But I don't want to have Alzheimer's either. My mother had that, and that's not the kind of thing I want to avoid. I'd rather then have that terrifying 5 seconds than lifeless, 6 years. Because that I'm not going to deal with. A conscious baby, like learning some kind of Morse code with its host. Well, if there is something, you would think that in our natal state where we're just beginning to be something that's like interesting in itself. But like I said, I see it as nothing, where we have boundaries of nothing. But from nothing, things happen. Well, folks, it's 10:46. So I do want to, first of all, thank you for showing up tonight. I only did want to focus on one thing. I think that's good for the most part. All I can hope for is that Trump is indicted. I'd like just indict him. Just make him have to walk to the courthouse, if anything. So I'm going to wish you a wonderful week. Let's just say a comfortable week. Just, do whatever you have to do. You know? I'm going to try to do whatever I have to do. And hopefully we'll all be here next time. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Anthony just said I would hate to experience sensory deprivation. Yeah, that's not what I want. Yeah. So, it's another week in our lives. One day closer to the next day. I just hope Dave gets better. And then one day, you'll see a divided screen here. On Divided We Stand. Yeah, comfortable is all I'm looking for. Comfortable. Just be comfortable. Sit on the couch. Thank you, Kim. You guys are great. I mean that. And Veg, again, congratulations. I'm really happy for you. You know? So, you know. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful week. And hang on if you can. Gotta enjoy something, right? It's the last minute of the show.